when I drive my car, feel like a movie star. I got a Cadillac and got bright blue eyes. Baby, can I interest you? There's enough room for...
Cheltenham, set in the heart of rural England, has long had an association with horses. In July 1985, it was horses of a different kind. Les Deux Chevaux. Like migrating ducks, they are drawn from all over the world to the meeting of two CV friends. There are Germans, Belgians, Dutch, Finns, Swiss, in fact people from nearly every corner of the world. By evening, the early arrivals were beginning to settle down and establish base camp. The seasoned campaigners had a well-established routine born from years of practice. For others, it was all a bit new, but just as much fun. The following morning, there were over 1,500 cars representing 20 countries. And in Cheltenham, the early morning sun is reflected from the highly polished Charlestons, drawn in line outside the town hall, waiting to escort the mayors of Cheltenham and Tewkesbury. There's an air of expectancy about, and an opportunity is taken for a final polish to make sure everything is just right. With a suddenness that takes everyone by surprise, the official car arrives and takes its place in the line, forming the perfect complement to the elegant Charlestons. This is to be an encounter between the happy, relaxed nature so common of 2CV events and the dignity and formality of English tradition. But within seconds, the mayors are caught up in the infectious atmosphere.
Baby, when I drive my car, feel like a movie star. I got a Cadillac and got bright blue eyes. Baby, can I interest you? There's enough room for two. A weekend is getting nearer and I wanna make it all mine. Yeah, baby, when I drive my car, I don't wanna go too far. Just say the word and we can pull into the side. Do what you want to do. I've got these eyes on you. We can drive out of here back to 1959. Got the time now.
shore area.
Right.
You cut it, shore area.
Should we do that?
That's it.
We declare it open. How's that?
Right. Don't keep it.
There's some balloons are going to go. You wait for the next kid.
Don't worry about it.
One of the first official 2CV events is a very simple affair. All it needs is 20 identical engines, 20 identical sets of tools, very careful and detailed explanation of all the rules in about 20 different languages, prodigious quantities of beer, and of course, we mustn't forget, 20 paper bags. Everything is now ready for the engine stripping competition. This is the event where the true mechanic gets an opportunity to demonstrate his skill. To make the competition completely fair, the organisers have dismantled each engine in laboratory conditions and then carefully reassembled it, making sure that the effort required to remove every nut, bolt or component was identical.
Die müsste eigentlich ganz weiß sein, ne? Weil die alle so feige sind, die Dinge.
The competition proceeded at a frantic pace. National characteristics were evident in the different techniques employed. And in the unlikely event of a difficulty being encountered, there was an abundance of expert advice, freely given whether requested or not. Under this constant gaze, it was hardly surprising that some competitors began to feel the pressure. Some team members needed supporting, but there was no shortage of helping hands. As the pressure mounted, it looked as if the Germans had taken an early lead, and as the tension increased, the stewards had trouble keeping the paper bags in position. As the piles of components grew, it became obvious that the Swiss team, famed for their precision engineering, were bringing all their tradition of scientific knowledge to the problem. A couple of screws, 2 nuts, few deft strokes, gently applied, appropriate position, and the crankshaft was held aloft, proving, as every 2CV owner knows, that when faced with a serious engineering problem, you can't beat a big hammer. The competition for the minor placings was equally intense. Eventually Belgium, to their evident delight, emerged in second place. We shudder to think what would have happened had they finished first. Sweden, who had progressed in a quiet, dignified manner, finished not far behind in third position. Meanwhile, our friend Willem, who had not taken off his cap since leaving Holland, was still having minor problems with his tent. But for the rest of us, it was time for an event for those of an artistic inclination, beaux chevaux, as you will appreciate listening to Tom Lynch.
Scarnus unicum, that's unicum, that is Latin for unique only in his sort.
Unicum, Latin for unique, like a one-off.
One of them only, well, it's only in the sort. You won't see it in the second one.
Yeah.
Well, and anus means the Latin word for duck.
Anus is the Latin word for duck.
For duck.
Yes,
and
which everyone knows is the 2CV,
it's the 2CV. It is made from 2CV, of course, this car. Well, and if you put the first two letters of Scania to it, you get Scarnus unicum.
Well, it's not my first 2CV. I have this car since 1982, and before that I had an old one.
Yes.
Very dirty, really old. And
when did you start feeling that you wanted to change it like this? Was there any ideas behind it, or where did you get the idea from?
Oh, out of my mind. I thought it was funny to put glasses, windows into the door. I made it first. Then after that I looked some books and I saw it has been ever made before.
Yes.
Even a long time ago. It has been made in 1955.
Baby, when I drive my car, I go faster than a shooting star. New lights are moving, there's lots of room inside. Baby, won't you come with me? The weekend is getting near and I want to make you all mine. Got the time, yeah.
There were a number of different classes and the cars were judged in their own categories. This fine example, which I believe is a 1952 model, won its category. And just approaching on the right-hand side is our most attractive entry, which I believe comes from Portugal. In this particular case, as you'll see, the judges were really getting two for the price of one. This model, just being placed in the bonnet, is an exact replica of the car. The prize in this particular class was most appropriate, bearing in mind the English weather we've been having. Finally, the winner of the third category was announced. Here we see him being congratulated by the world chairman. Meanwhile, back on the site, Willem was still having problems. So much so that he had decided to enlist help from their friends, confident that this would provide a solution. For the 2CV enthusiast, one of the most memorable sights imaginable is to see the 2CVs in convoy. Various estimates of the numbers likely to take part in the convoy were given. 200, 300, possibly even more. However, as they began to assemble, it became obvious that these guesses would be considerably exceeded. Eventually, all was ready and the convoy moved off. Finally, it was announced that the total number of cars taking part was over 640. This, of course, meant that those who had set off early had travelled many miles, whilst those at the back were still patiently waiting to leave the site. The route planned by the organisers for the convoy took it through the Cotswolds, and to see cars loaded with up to 4 adults and 3 children going up a steep hill restored one's faith in the optimism of the human race. However, once clear of these obstacles, the convoy was quickly on its way through the beautiful Cotswolds towards Sudley Castle. Not everyone chose to go in the convoy, And for those who decided to remain behind, there was lots to do. For others, the prospect of a night under canvas, snug in the warmth of their own tent, was a luxury that could only be appreciated after 2 nights in the English summer. The entertainment provided was excellent, appealing to all types and all ages.
I'm not good looking, I'm not too smart, I might be foolish, but I've got a heart. I love the sunshine, I love the flowers, but when I try to talk to girls, they laugh at me and run.
Not everyone needs, or indeed wants, organised entertainment. For some, the freedom to do their own thing is the essence of the 2CV. Whether it's crossing the Sahara, or putting your tent on the roof, or quite simply, just having fun. The 2CV seems to inspire ordinary people to do the most extraordinary things. Just like these young people from Belgium. I think they call themselves the Ram Riders. But even allowing for this, when we saw the maple leaf of Canada on a car, we couldn't resist talking to the owners. Where did it start, Chris?
Started in Vancouver, British Columbia.
How far away roughly is that?
Oh, I really don't know. Thousands of miles.
Thousands of miles. Well, it must have cost you a few shillings to bring your car here.
Yes, what we did was we picked up the car in Mallorca, Spain, and we drove up through Europe.
Just
with
a
the car.
second. You didn't actually bring the car from Canada?
No.
Oh. So you came from Canada to England?
Yes, we flew to England, then we flew down to Mallorca. We picked up the car in Mallorca, the car we've inherited.
Yeah.
And we drove the car up through Europe to the meeting, and then the car will be shipped home.
Just a second. You inherited?
Yes.
Ah. That is not normally, I believe, how one acquires a car. Could you tell us a little bit about the inheritance?
My late mother-in-law used to live in Mallorca, Spain.
Yes.
And this is a very good rust-free car in very good condition.
Yes.
And so we felt that it was something we wanted to have, a nice deux chevaux. There are not too many Citroens in Canada, and very few deux chevaux. So it just only makes logical sense that we should ship it home.
Ah, well, you see, I'm Irish, and our logic is sometimes a wee bit suspect. Now, for instance, to me, it would have seemed much simpler to have it sent out to you in Canada.
But that wouldn't have been any fun, would it? I mean, you got to have a holiday and enjoy things a little bit. So we thought we'd have a holiday, enjoy ourselves, come to this meeting, and be part of it, and then ship the car home.
Yeah, well, that makes sense. Yes, I can understand that. And this was your wife's mother's car?
Yes.
So
she was also a Citroen enthusiast.
A family heirloom?
That's right, yes. Like the spinning wheel.
Yeah. Did she died quite recently?
A couple of years ago, yes.
What age was she?
She was in her late 50s.
Yes, yeah. And this was a car that she loved. How did your wife react when she saw the car?
Oh, she was tears in her eyes.
Yeah,
yes.
Like an old friend.
Yes.
That's an absolutely wonderful story. There weren't any brothers or sisters, I hope?
No.
Oh,
we don't have to cut the car up into
Good, I was just wondering who was going to end up with a wheel each.
Right.
So you've come all the way from Canada to London, London to Palma and Mallorca.
Yes.
You've picked up your car. I presume you're not going to visit a psychiatrist or anything on your way home?
No.
No, this all makes absolute sense.
Perfect sense to me, yes.
People who love les deux chevaux.
That's right.
A love which takes many forms. Listen to Steve Hill.
This car here is what's known as a Lomax, which is a company which builds kit cars in glass fibre and is 2CV powered, AMI chassis probably, as a quick guess without a good look. And it's a good finish. There's lots of different things on this one to what normally comes out of a Lomax kit. Lomax kits usually have just the MG type windscreen, but this has actually had one built. The cockpit is AMI 8 style. The steering wheel's been made a little smaller so he can get his knees tucked underneath there. And it just has the instruments taken out of an AMI 8 and converted there to the centre, just under the map light. The seat can't identify, it's out of something, not sure. And just generally right the way through to the back of the car, which has homemade tow bar and trailer lights on it and covered. But the unfortunate thing with the car is that it has about a 55-foot turning circle because of the mud guards actually are so close to the wheel. To get them inside is very difficult, and the normal 2CV turning circle is 32 feet and this is 55, and on mini roundabouts you sometimes have to make a reverse. It is probably from Finland. Well, it is from Finland. It's 1965-6. He's had trouble with the headlights and that, and he's got Renault parts in there. They have trouble in Finland with very old parts, and the car has to be very old. So here we have.
Why don't they have new parts in Finland?
Oh, because there are restrictions, like America. There are restrictions and specifications the 2CV doesn't meet.
Yes.
And those which are in Finland are very, very early cars.
Yes.
About 61, and they stop them in about 65-ish.
Yeah.
And the Finns, when they come in their droves, and they go around all the scrap yards. It's one day, they and they go rip all the cars to pieces and take all these parts back to Finland. They come every 2 years when there's a world meeting, and they do this, and they all come down, change their engines and everything, and all get together.
What year would you say this is?
I reckon it's probably around about 1966. It's very difficult when it gets older. You can never work out exactly what it is, and you have to speak to the owner on many of these vehicles here.
Yeah.
It's only the new ones. Say anything after certainly anything after 74 in England, I can tell you exactly what it is and what's been done to it. But anything before that, or certainly before 68, you have to be very careful what you're doing, especially when it's in good condition like this.
I was just going to say again, it's a beautiful condition for 1966.
Oh yes, well the Finns are nutcases anyway. When we went across America, out of 35 cars, 10 were from Finland. You know,
So that really is
yes.
the home of the great enthusiast.
Oh yes, and I have
That's marvellous, isn't it?
one of my customers is a doctor, and he spoke to one of his Finnish doctors, and it's a status symbol to have a 2CV in Finland.
Yes.
You know, it's like someone, well, it's a bit like someone who's got a radio telephone in his
Yes,
car.
yes.
To have a 2CV in the garage.
I know what you mean.
is a
I
thing
think
to
actually
have.
it's a hell of a lot more than a radio telephone,
Yeah,
but I know
I'm
what you
sure,
mean.
yeah.
Shall we move on to the next one?
74 van, imported from Belgium, ex-Belgian post office, which they used. It isn't one of the right-hand drive cars, it's a left-hand drive post office van, imported into this country. Has many windows in the side for use as a car used by the post office rather than anything else. English, and it's now a camping machine. Short van, what's known as an AZU 250. Short back and a low roof, unlike the AK400, which you'll see at another stage, which has the high roof and the long back. Nice white car, of course, from Holland, early 1970s, I'm guessing a little bit there. But the best feature of this is it has one of the original type boot extensions with the carry-on of the three bars from the boot to make it look as if from distance it's actually still part of the car.
Part of the car, yes.
Whereas the copy ones or the homemade ones don't have those three lines, but certainly one of the earlier boot extensions. What we have, the door as we know it now, which hinges here, and we have the back quarter light window which came in. But this dashboard is worth taking a shot of. The winds are powered from the speedo, and of course as you go faster they go slower, which is good in thunderstorms, and by hand. And the dashboard is very primitive, and the speedo is up here in kilometres.
Steve, you reckon this one's a wee bit early for you, so we're perhaps better ask the chap who...
That's right.
Can you tell us a bit about this one?
This car came in Holland on the road in November 1959, but this is type already for 1960. It is the one with the alloy bumpers and centrifugal clutch. It is called the AZS type.
This is an AK400. There's a long back, high top, and he's capable of 400 kilos. And this is an import from Belgium.
It's a rather special one, this, isn't it?
Well, it's what's known as a rat catcher's van. The doors usually have the municipal symbol and written for the rat catcher on the side. And the fan on the roof is for the, extraction of smells, I would think, catching rats. And it's now a camper, and of course the fan comes in very useful.
There were cars of almost every year and type, and we could have spent the whole time listening to Steve and the car owners, or quite simply just looking at the cars. Meanwhile, back at the camp, Willem still had two problems: how to get his cap off and how to get his tent up. By now, the prospect of a further night in a force 9 gale was becoming a distinct possibility. The sign of the swinging brushes was quickly recognized as the symbol of the Sankville Bogbusters, a bunch of lads who smoothed the way and made sure everything went with a bang. The contribution made by the 2CV to the advancement of motoring technology has been well documented elsewhere. The Bogbusters took it a stage further and proved time and time again that the 2CV has made a serious contribution to civilization as you and I know it. The stamina of the 2CV is accepted without question. This car crossed the Sahara. Others didn't quite get that far.
You seem to be having a little bit of a problem.
Yep. So
What happened?
Well, halfway here, towing a trailer, the gearbox went due to a lack of oil.
Due to a lack of oil?
Yeah.
Ah, what was on the trailer?
1958 2CV.
On a trailer,
Yeah.
and this one is 602 cc's.
Yeah, and that towed it all the way, about 85
Yeah.
miles.
You're 100% certain it was the lack of oil?
Yeah, it was definitely the lack of oil.
When you're under great stress, that you find out who your friends are. There's always someone really dying to give you a hand and help with these unpleasant little tasks that crop up. Like when you're trying to get an engine in on your own, you can always count that they'll come along and you know, lighten the burden.
There were a few breakdowns, but this car had travelled from Paris to Moscow and back. And to put things into perspective, the cars attending had travelled about 1 million miles just to get to Cheltenham. I'm standing here on the Cheltenham Racecourse. For the best part of a week now, this has been the site of the 6th World Meeting of the Friends of the 2CV. I have spoken to delegates from many countries, but perhaps one of the most outstanding characters I have met as I've travelled around is the gentleman I am now about to introduce you to. You, sir, are Mr. Hill.
No, that used to be my name, but I've changed it since I found out I was a Dutch Irishman. Well, it used to be Benny Hill, but it's Dutch now. It's Van Belt Missing. I'm Mr. Missing.
I believe you have travelled extensively.
Yes, yes.
Did you go on Raid Sahara?
Oh, yes. I went on the Raid Sahara.
It is reputed that these cars are virtually indestructible.
Yeah, yes, they're right, sir. The Citroen company originally made this as a long-distance and endurance car.
On Raid USA, of course, you were the only one who tried to sail across.
Well, we got it eventually. We got it down to the boat. And we thought that we'd try and take her across the sea on our own, but that didn't work out very well either. No, you're right there. Being the first car with a paper mache body didn't help very much. I think it was the salt, they said, in the water that caused a chemical reaction which gave off a load of methane gas and the car sunk.
Do you think you have ironed out the problems in the performance?
Well, we just persevered and we put these things right, and now the car is running marvellous. You're probably right, fitting wheels helped enormously. We've gone a lot further since we put the wheels on than we did before we had the wheels. I'd thoroughly recommend these little cars. If you can't afford a psychiatrist, get yourself a 2CV. That's what I always said.
Earlier, we saw the engine stripping competition. This was designed to appeal to the precision engineer. For the artist, Beauchevau provided the ideal opportunity. And for the intellectual, we had adult games. This was where the thinking man came into his own. A mixture of Ben-Hur, stock car racing, and the Keystone Cops. Alas, poor Willem, who was easily recognised afterwards by the bandages round his fingers, had to give this event a miss.
Have you had much trouble getting this up?
No, not much.
Well, you seem to take a little bit longer than some other people.
Yes, I have seen my brother doing it. I have seen it, but I haven't done it at myself. Yes.
I thought that.
Yes.
Thank you very much indeed.
Okay.
Bye. And now we're going to speak to two people who have come a long way from Portugal. They are Rogério Soares and his wife, who is Lourdes Soares. That's not bad for me. I believe the next trip is going to be somewhere
I believe
a bit closer to you.
Yes.
Where is it?
It's near Aveiro. We are thinking to do the next world meeting in Portugal.
In Portugal?
Near Aveiro.
So I'll see you in Portugal.
Yes,
see you in Portugal.
In 87.
The Portuguese were obviously thrilled at getting the next world meeting, and Doug Phillips, the 1985 world chairman, was equally thrilled with his presentation.
Not only as a personal tribute to Doug's work, but also to reflect the exceedingly hard work that all his committee members have put in to make this world meeting so successful. Doug, of course,
one of the highlights of the world meeting was the entertainment, of one kind or another.
So now it's raffle time. Well, have you got your tickets ready? Because we're going to ask Gunnar from Norway to make the draw.
The last night was a truly memorable occasion. The raffle had an unusual touch, and the Finns had a surprise of their own.
But I'm not going to tell about the histories of these meetings for you tonight. What I want to do now is to ask 6 or 7 persons to come just here. Our British 2CV friends. So, Reg Myhill, please come here. Paul Bateson, please come here. Steve Proctor, please come here. John Colley, yes, you are here, thank you. Steve Hill, please come here. And Bob McQueen and Todd Phillips. Thank you. So now we have 6 2CV friends here. And the game goes on like this. I have one thing to do, but I can't do it before these 6 2CV friends has done their job. And Your job is to take your own original Finnish 2CV mug full of good beer. And you have to drink your mug until it's empty. But be very careful, be very careful. Yes? Okay, you can start now, just now.
Get out of the way.
This is a very special Finnish construction for these mates. Drink it all because I can't do my job before you have done yours. You can see why I couldn't do my job, because I have written something here. We Finnish 2CV friends want to thank all of our British 2CV friends for a successful 6th World Meeting of 2CV Friends in Cheltenham 1985. Kiitos. Thanks. And now to the next, and I want to do this for you, because you are the only 2CV friend in GP who knows what to do with this. Perhaps this is the team Horses for Courses.
Is Yugoslavia ready?
Yugoslavia wasn't ready, but Portugal, appropriately enough, was. And the rest of the night could only be described as pure 2CV. suddenly, after 6 days, it's all over. The friends, our friends, are leaving. Roll on 1987. See you in Portugal.